Part 3. The Awakening, the Creature. It is with considerable difficulty that I remember the original era of my being. All the events of that period appear confused and indistinct. A strange multiplicity of sensations seized me, and I saw, felt, heard, and smelt at the same time. It was a long time before I could distinguish between the operations of my various senses. By degrees, I remembered the original epoch of my being. A gentle light stole over the heavens and gave me a sensation of pleasure. Darkness then came over me and troubled me. I lay still, and a gentle breeze fanned my cheeks. The rustling of the leaves and the warbling of the birds were new and delightful sounds to me. I rose and walked, and as I moved, I stumbled over stones and felt pain when I struck against trees. I ate berries I found growing in the woods, and slaked my thirst from a clear brook. I discovered fire and was delighted by its warmth, but I was terrified when I placed my hand in the embers. At length, I found a hovel, a small shelter adjoining a cottage. It was built against the side of a house and protected from the weather. There was a small space behind it, which suited me perfectly. I resolved to remain and observe the inhabitants of the cottage. From my hovel, I could see the interior of the cottage through a chink in the wall. An old man sat in a chair, and a young woman and man performed various tasks. I soon learned that the old man was blind, and the younger ones treated him with tender care. They appeared to be unhappy, often weeping and sighing. They suffered from poverty. Their clothes were coarse, and they often had little to eat. I saw that the young man sometimes spent the whole day in cutting wood for the family. I went into the forest, collected a great quantity of fuel, and placing it near the cottage, in the night, I cleared their path from the snow. I afterwards found that my kind of service was of great use to them. My heart exulted as I beheld Felix carry to the old man the fuel I had collected, and pile it up by the fire, and I heard the exclamations of surprise and delight which they uttered on discovering the supply. I felt light, and my heart danced within me. I thought that I might at length be admitted into their family circle. As I listened, I learned that the old man was called Father, the youth Felix, and the young woman Agatha. They spoke gently and kindly to one another, and their voices soothed my heart. Safie arrived, and her presence diffused happiness. I longed more earnestly than ever to claim the protection of the old man, and when I thought of the virtues of the cottagers, I felt a mixture of pain and pleasure, such as I had never before experienced or conceived possible. The time came at last. One day, when Felix, Agatha, and Safie were absent, I approached the cottage. My heart beat rapidly, but I knocked and entered. "Who is there?" said the old man. "Come in." I entered. "Pardon this intrusion," I said. "I am a traveller in want of a little rest. You would greatly oblige me if you would allow me to remain a few minutes before the fire." "Enter," said de Lacy, "and I will try in what manner I can relieve your wants, but unfortunately I am blind and cannot judge of your countenance." I sat down, and soon a conversation took place between me and the old man. I told him I was an unfortunate and deserted creature. I had no relation or friend upon earth. I conjured him, therefore, to be compassionate and not drive me from his door. He turned towards me with kindness. "Whoever you are," he said, "I will be your friend and protect you. It is most probable that my children will return immediately." I heard the steps of my fellow beings, and a tumultuous sensation of joy and fear took possession of me. I clung to my protector's knees and cried, "Save me! Save me!" But Felix darted forward, and with supernatural force tore me from his father, to whose knees I clung. In a transport of fury, he dashed me to the ground and struck me violently with a stick. Agatha fainted, and Safie, unable to endure the horror of the scene, rushed out of the cottage. "Do not desert me in this hour of trial," I exclaimed. But Felix did not listen. Rage was in his face, and blows rained upon me. I passed the night in the forest, weeping and in great agony. The gentle words of Agatha and the animated smiles of the charming Arabian were not for me. I had approached them with gentleness and love, but they responded with fear and violence. My heart sank within me, and bitter tears gushed from my eyes. When I returned the next day, the cottage was empty. The family had fled. They had abandoned their home to escape me. I was overcome with rage and horror. I set fire to their cottage and watched with a sensation of joy as the flames consumed the miserable ruin. As the blaze arose, I danced with fury around the devoted cottage, and my eyes were bedewed with glee. My hopes had perished in those flames. I wandered through the woods, filled with fury and sorrow. I cursed my Creator for giving me life. Why had He formed me only to suffer? Why had He abandoned me to loneliness and rejection? As I wandered, I vowed revenge. I would seek out my Creator and demand justice. If He refused, I would destroy His peace and make Him feel the misery He had inflicted upon me. I bent my steps towards the near plain of Plainpalais. It was evening when I arrived, and I walked among the scenes so dear to my recollection. I saw a child playing with sticks, and I approached him. I thought, this child is innocent. He is too young to have learned prejudice. Perhaps he will not fear me. I approached gently, but the boy screamed and struggled. I grasped him to calm him, but he cried out, "Monster! Ugly wretch! Let me go, or my father, Monsieur Frankenstein, will punish you." Frankenstein. That name, the name of my Creator, burned in my brain. I was seized with rage. I could not bear to hear it from the child's lips. In a moment of madness, I grasped his throat, and he moved no more. I gazed upon his lifeless body, horrified at what I had done. A feeling of revenge had driven me to this act. I took from his neck the portrait of my mother, which had been the temptation of the murderer. I afterwards found a girl asleep on some straw and placed it in the fold of her dress. She shall suffer. The murder I have committed shall be laid to her charge. I left the spot and returned to the woods. My heart was poisoned with remorse. My act had not brought me peace. It had only added guilt to my agony.